Hello and welcome back. Hello, Denise. Hello, Joanna.
Hey,
For everyone else that's looking, these other four fellows on the bottom here are not part of our cast. They're just the screenshots of some of the other people that we had interviewed before. We're still waiting on Michael Coleman to come in, and Ian Case and JP Winslow. Hopefully they will. But in the meantime, we have the two of you as our captive interviewees. So thank you very much for joining us here today.
yay. Is sound and everything working for you
Yep, we can
guys?
totally hear
Oh,
you.
good, good.
Can you hear
Okay,
us,
cool.
Joanna? I think Joanna's actually frozen there. Oh, no, there she is. Can you hear us,
I
Joanna?
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, excellent. So I know that Denise definitely needs no introduction to the 1,000 people who are watching us on YouTube right now. But Denise Crosby played Captain Norton in The Doctor's Case, and Joanna Douglas, over in the corner there, is my cousin, who many Canadian fans will remember from the show Being Erica, as well as most recently she played Miss Stacy on the Anne with an E series on Netflix, and she graciously came out and did the show with us. I'm obviously not really the one to ask a lot of questions here because I'm definitely involved in the film, and I know that there are some questions that we have on Twitter, which we'll get to in a few minutes here. But I just wanted to just sort of say, thank you so much, not only for being here today, but both of you for being in the movie. For a first-time director, it was really spectacular to be able to work with people of your talent and caliber, and I just can't thank you enough. I wonder, Denise, if maybe I could start with a question for you, given I know that a lot of people here online are asking how it was that we possibly were able to get you into our Dollar Baby film, given that you have such a history with Stephen King, as well as obviously people know you from Star Trek The Next Generation. I have a story that I always tell about how it was that you came to be part of this, but I wondered if we could hear it from your perspective.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I mean, it helps that you guys are so damn nice, and kind and, friends of mine now. Um, but I loved the notion. First of all, I loved that Stephen King does something like this. I had no idea until I met you, and you kind of informed me about that. Um, we had met through the cons and coming up to Barkerville, and it was such a magical, wonderful weekend for me. And I was delighted, that you thought of me and asked. I mean, people. It's so interesting until you ask. You don't have an answer, and I think people are so hesitant to even ask. Because what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you say you get a no,
Yeah.
but you might get a yes. And it behooves everyone to make that step, to take that step.
Absolutely. And it's funny because Joanna will know this. My father, Tom, who is Joanna's uncle, has always said to me, if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no. And
Right.
we felt that way about you when we asked you to come up to Barkerville in 2013 to be part of the little geek weekend that we had done, and you said yes. And then we had that opportunity to get to know each other over the weekend, and you've just been so kind and generous with your time and with your willingness to sort of give advice. And so I knew that when we found out about the Dollar Baby deal and that we'd got the contract, and I knew that I wanted to create some sort of character. I mean, Captain Norton wasn't really in the mix at that point, but I knew that it would be a really amazing opportunity to have that character be a woman that Watson was talking to, and I immediately thought of you, and yeah, you said yes. I mean, it was really lovely. We got the invitation to come down and have lunch with you, and Norm and I very excitedly went down, and even without much of a script, you seemed to really understand kind of what we were trying to do, and it was just really great that you were so receptive to that.
Well, any chance, create with people that you truly, have a great rapport with, and heck, if I can get a ticket up to Canada, I'm in. I'm kind of a cheap date, really.
Good. I'm going to hold you to that. Moving over just for moving over for a moment to Joanna. Again, I hope you don't mind me telling this story, Joanna. But Joanna and I had only ever actually met in person once before she stepped off the plane to come and work on the doctor's case, and that was when she was about 3 months old. I visited my family in Ontario and had a chance to meet her when she was very, very young, and we'd become Facebook friends in the years since. And it was actually literally just after talking with you, Denise, while I was still in Los Angeles, that I just realized that we needed to make sure that the Stephen Hull character was a woman as well, because I just felt that, the story is fantastic, but there's a lot of dudes in that story, and it would be really great if we could have some more women. And I immediately thought of Joanna, and because I've been watching her on TV for years, and just called her up, and again, just without really giving it much thought, you said yes, that you'd come out, and I really appreciate that. And for those of you also from the King fans, you may recognize Joanna as Doris Dunning in 11/22/63, the Hulu adaptation of King's novel. So it was particularly nice to know that there was a couple of and then a third Stephen King alumna in here. Michael, there you are, Michael. It's so great. We'll get to you in a sec, Michael. I just wanted to talk to Joanna and say what was the experience like for you? I mean, you were obviously doing me a favor, but what was your thought process there?
Pretty similar to Denise, James. Like, the opportunity was obviously a bit more personal for me to get to know my cousin, who, like, you're so friendly online, but we didn't have the real life interaction. So I was excited to get that chance. And you said that your dad was going to be a part of it, and so for me, it was like a pull of getting to know and spend time with my family, and getting to go to BC. Like, Victoria is so beautiful. And looking at these locations that you nailed down, like, that was it was an adventure for me.
Well, we're so glad that you came on that adventure with us. Thank you very much. Michael, just wanted to introduce everyone to Michael Coleman, whom you probably recognize from ABC's Once Upon a Time as Happy the Dwarf. And also, he's a voice actor extraordinaire. If you've watched any anime in the last 20 years, you've heard Michael's voice for sure. Michael was actually the first actor that I spoke to. Just so everybody knows, too, I was very, very blessed in this casting process in that everybody who was in this film basically just answered a phone call. There was no auditions for the film at all. I had very specific people in mind for the roles as we were going forward, and to my absolute delight, everybody said yes when I called. Michael being the very first of them, because we brought Michael up to Northern FanCon, which is a fan expo that Denise has been to as well. That my business partner Norm Coyne runs here in Prince George, and Michael very graciously came up to sign some autographs and do some workshops with the folks at FanCon in May of 2016, just after I'd found out about the Dollar Baby deal. And we started talking about Watson. Do you have any recollections of that, Michael, that you might want to share?
Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting. And the thing that I remember most is, we talked about your wish list of actors, and they're all like here. So it was really, that just doesn't happen. So that's pretty cool. I think that speaks volumes about the project and your leadership and everybody else here. So yeah, it's surreal. When you said everybody you wanted, I won't lie. There's a part of it's like, neat, would probably get some of them.
Well, you were definitely the first and really helped a lot in the rest of it. And then, of course, now joining us as well is Ian Case, the mustachioed man, and JP Winslow, the goateed man. And you will recognize JP as Sherlock Holmes and Ian as Lestrade. And I just wanted to say again, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be pouring out a bunch of gratitude during all of this. Ian Case is so important to me in my life because back in the day, nearly 30 years ago now. Hey, there's Len. Len Pearl is the co-director as well. He was a huge help to me. Ian gave me my very first professional acting job, semi-professional, I guess, acting job in Victoria, BC, back in, I think it was like 2000. No, wait. No, I'm dating myself even further. Like 1993, I think, is when it was actually in The Merchant of Venice and the Silver Spectre Returns, I think, was the name of the late night show that we did. And I've always really, really wanted to be able to cast Ian in something. And he has a lot of experience with Conan Doyle projects, live stage shows most of the time, and I just knew that there was an element to Lestrade that I wanted to explore that I thought had not really been explored before, which is that he is a very good policeman. You know, he comes across often in adaptations as a bumbling idiot, and we definitely had some fool stuff going on in there, but I felt that there was a bearing that Ian had that would really make that character as authentic a person as we could in this crazy Stephen King mashup world. And I just also wanted to introduce you now to JP Winslow, who has been a very good friend of mine for well over 20 years. He works with us in Barkerville Historic Town and Park. And without JP's encyclopedic knowledge of Conan Doyle, I don't think that we would have really been able to do this. And I just wanted to introduce you, JP, and wonder if either of you, JP or Ian, have any initial thoughts about this crazy concept that we threw at you.
Go ahead, Ian.
Oh, no, you first.
Oh, me first. Well, I guess the main thing was James and I were working on a video shoot for Barkerville, and he came to me with this idea that he was going to do a Dollar Babies thing, and it's Sherlock Holmes, and he said, "Do you want to get involved?" I said, "I'd love to get involved. What can I do?" And he said, "Well, you could be Sherlock Holmes." And I said, that was a real kick. I mean, the idea was amazing, but I've admired these characters for so long, and I have such great admirations for people like Jeremy Brett and others who've played Holmes, that I realized right away, if this were to come true, you're sort of taking on not only a huge character in literature, but then this provenance of actors that have filled this role. So it was quite something, but I'm thrilled that we got to do it, and I think it worked pretty good. I can watch myself and not cringe at all, so I feel pretty good about it. I really do. And so thanks, James, and everybody for all of that. It was great.
Yeah, I have to say, this is the first time I've worked on a film project where I've been able to watch the project in its final form and not cringe.
Well, yeah.
I've been at it for like 30 plus years, and this is the first time it was like, oh yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you asked me to do this at James and I attended the Phoenix Theatre at the University of Victoria, and they were having their 50th anniversary party, and we were at a dinner, and James came up and I really want to pitch this idea. I pitched the idea and said, I'd love if you could play Lestrade. And I thought, okay, well, that sounds great. But, I have so many talented people around me who sort of say, I've got this crazy idea. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then, what was it? A couple of weeks later, sure enough, there was the script and there was the offer, and away we went. It was really exciting.
Well, thank you for doing it, Ian. Len, so everybody, this is Len Pearl, and Len is an amazing filmmaker in his own right from Toronto, Ontario. We met in Barkerville. He was making a documentary that we've been working on now together for some time. It's really his, and I knew that because this was my first film. I had done a little bit of writing before and a little bit of co-producing, but this was the first time that it was going to be something that I wrote and directed myself. And I knew that although I could work very well with actors because I had a lot of experience in the theater, I really wanted to make sure I had somebody right beside me who really knew shots and things like that. And so Len was just so unbelievably helpful in reminding me of what it is that we needed to do for coverage and really getting to some of the deeper heart of some of the crazier character work that we did. Len, can you talk a little bit about what your experience was?
Well, James, you made it so easy. You're incredibly. You had a creative vision for the whole project from start to finish. So you made it easy for me to come aboard because in your head you had it all planned out. So it was incredible to work with you, and the entire team out there was just fantastic. And for me, growing up to be a big Trekkie fan and having the opportunity to be near Denise Crosby was just phenomenal, and I still can't get over that. I'm still in love with that big Star Trek fan. So aside from the highlight of working alongside Denise and the rest of the talented team, being there with you, was an extreme privilege. And I think by the end of the whole shoot, it was a family, and we still feel like a family today. And that goes credit to you and your leadership on the project. And I look forward to working with you on many other things, as you know where we are. And it was just a great experience. And you can see it in the product itself. Everyone enjoyed themselves and everyone loved it, and that's testament to your vision and your creativity as well.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's also all of yours. I mean, without your good spirits and talent, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to pull it off in such a crazy, strange, super late night kind of atmosphere that we did.
That was the craziest part, was the long hours. And I remember holding my breath each time, saying, "Oh my God, are we going to get this film finished?" And I remember with the cutting of the portrait at the end, we only had one take.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
Remember we were holding our breath, and that came out so well. So there were some tense moments, but we kept each other in check, which was great.
For sure. I'm going to toss over to Leah here because she's got the Twitter feed on her phone. Do we have anything in the Twitterverse?
There's all sorts of questions that are coming in, mostly love for you guys in this film and like a job well done. I'm not sure if any of you have been watching along at home, but our friends at Dairy Public Radio have made a haiku for every single film that we've played, and they're pretty fantastic. So this is the one for the doctor's case. The game is afoot. Dr. Watson solves a case. Painting in a lie. And they give the doctor's case 5 out of 5 blue chambray shirts. Yay! There are a lot of questions about the location of where you guys filmed. So maybe if you got a couple minutes. I mean, we've got about 8 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to be quick, and I want to be able to throw back to these guys too. So a lot of us here either have experience with or work at a place called Barkerville Historic Town and Park, which is the largest historic site in Western North America. It's a large gold rush town, and that was really the original inspiration to try and do something Victorian. And then ultimately, because of the relationship with Barkerville, we had a very good friendship with the folks at Craigdarroch Castle in Victoria, BC, which was Hull House, and they let us in there to film. And I mean, that castle usually rents out for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a day if you have to shut the thing down. But they were kind enough to let us shoot between 5:30 p.m. when they closed and 5:30 a.m. before they needed to get in there and clean up after us, so that we could shoot all of the interior scenes there. And then our good friends at Emily Carr House, which is the birthplace of a famous Canadian painter named Emily Carr in Victoria as well, allowed us to use that space as the interior of Baker Street. And then, of course, there are places like Bastion Square, which we could use the exteriors for. Most of our budget involved bringing people from the central interior of BC, where most of us are from, down to Victoria in April when things are very expensive and the tourists are there, and housing everybody. But we were very fortunate, as you saw from the credits, to have a lot of crowdfunding backers for sure. So those are the location parts.
I know that you want to shoot everything back to people.
Yeah.
We have 5 minutes, but a lot of people are asking about the possible sequel and the little teaser that you had at the end with Denise and William. So can you say something in like 1 minute?
Well, Denise, if we were actually able to get something rolling, would you be interested in something like that? I know we've talked about this.
Oh my God, that is so cool. I love that character. Of course. I told you I'm a cheap date. I get a ticket to Canada. I can't get enough of that place.
Well, if we can get Mr. King's attention enough to let us use the Doctor's Case as a pilot episode, I actually have been developing an 8-part series that would be the further adventures of Dr. Watson and Captain Norton, which would also have flashbacks to Sherlock Holmes and some of those other adventures. It is ready to go, but I think we need to get that permission to use the Doctor's Case as our pilot in order for the rest of the story to make sense.
What can I do to help? I mean, I'm willing to reach out to Stephen. I can certainly, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but I think he remembers me. I did play Rachel Creed in one of his movies. And his signature in my edition of Pet Sematary reads, "You are Rachel Creed and Rachel Creed is you."
Amazing.
Wow.
Stephen King.
That's
So
fantastic.
I can take a screenshot and send it. No, I would just say, I mean, he's been really, it looks like, supportive of this whole thing.
He really has. He's been very generous with his tweets for sure. The festival is on his radar. I mean, obviously the Dollar Babies are very near and dear to his heart too. Well, let's take this conversation offline because I do have a pitch deck that's in development that we can talk about for sure.
Absolutely, but I'm on board.
Thank you. So Joanna, what's next for you? I wanted to make sure you've spent some time there, and I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to talk with you as well. Do you have anything on your plate right now that you can talk about?
I've got 3 kids at home, virtual learning, so no. But I mean, as far as the industry and my activity in it, I do see an upswing. And hope is back in the air after, this crazy time of not much.
Yeah, the pandemic has really hit a lot of us very, very hard. I can totally understand that. Michael, you've been working pretty hard at your school, I believe, in Vancouver. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. We have a post-secondary school called Story Institute where we train actors, and so been focused on that and a couple new projects. And as soon as this is over, I'm going to give Denise a call and see if she can get me hooked on this new series you guys are talking about.
I know a few people, so yeah. Definitely. Okay, that sounds good. We'll talk.
And Ian, what are you up to these days? Tell the folks what you're doing these days.
A number of things. I'm sitting on the BC Arts Council as a board member. I'm continuing to run the Farquhar Auditorium at the University of Victoria. I've got a project for the Victoria Fringe, fingers crossed that it actually is able to go forward. So I'm working with a dear friend on probably his best work to date. I collaborated with him a number of times. And then I'm experimenting with the idea of maybe getting some of my old friends together to possibly do a site-specific Sherlock Holmes, actually, for Halloween. For 15 years, I did site-specific work at Craigdarroch Castle, doing horror shows for Halloween, and I'm looking at potentially doing one more kick at the can just for fun, see how it goes. So yeah, working on that. Awesome.
And JP, you're writing. Do you feel comfortable talking about the show that you've been writing?
Yeah. I've been working on a one-man Sherlock Holmes story, which is an adaptation of the Musgrave Ritual. So I've been adapting. I did 2. So far, I've done 2 audiobooks that I'm hoping to figure out how to distribute somehow with Jen Lewis, our sound designer for the Doctor's Case. So I've been working on a script to take the second one, the Musgrave Ritual, and turn it into a one-person show. And I'm not sure where it's going yet. It could turn into a video project. Under the circumstances of the world, that might be a way to keep it moving as opposed to sort of sitting still waiting for live opportunities. So I'm still into Sherlock Holmes. My plan is to adapt at least 10 of these stories from his own point of view.
Very, very cool. Thank you. Now, I know that we have to go, but I just wanted to say to everyone out there watching and all of the great comments, thank you so much. It means the world to all of us and me in particular. My email address is james@barkerstreetcinema.com, james@barkerstreetcinema.com. So if you have any other questions that we didn't answer here in this half hour, please email me, and I promise I will email you back. Thank you all so much for taking this half hour out of your day to come and talk with us. It's so lovely to see all of you again, and I can't wait. So we're all together in the flesh one more time.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Be safe, everyone.
You too.
That was fantastic. I'm sorry that we got to move on. Don't leave. You're still on camera with me. We're sharing a frame, remember?